My name is Rachel Mattheis from St. Xavier University, and I am here today to do a peer development with you guys about culturally responsive teaching practices, also known as CRPs. Thank you to everyone who is here today. I know your time is valuable, and I believe that what we will be discussing today is just as valuable, not only to us, but to our students. So let's get started. Going over the agenda, we will address the topic for today, then proceed to discuss our learning objectives. Then we will talk about 3 different culturally relevant practices. We will follow up with an activity altogether, and then we will have the conclusion for today's presentation. All right, so getting started, let's dive in. Culturally sustaining practices. What do those look like? Well, they focus on ridding ourselves of deficit-based lenses when we observe and work with emergent bilinguals. Even using the term emergent bilingual is great because it does rid ourselves of that deficit-based lens that I'm referring to. So instead of using terms like English language learner, which comes from that deficit point of view, we will use positive terms like emergent bilingual so that we can show respect to these students who are accomplishing the really hard goal of learning a second language. We will then look at focus on assets and skills. So when we focus on the assets and skills of the students, it allows us to see their worth and then show them their own worth. And they use that to then become more engaged in their learning experience. So teacher education must then focus on this topic to ensure we are able to achieve progress through forward teaching and supportive teaching methods, which we will go over. Okay, our objectives today. We have 2 listed here, and if you start, I will be able to use teaching practices discussed to ensure that I, as an educator, am helping sustain the culture of my students and their families. Our second objective, I will be able to use culturally relevant strategies to provide a support system to my emergent bilingual students to make certain that they can have an equal opportunity to succeed. Now, how are we going to get there? Let's first discuss strategy number 1, facilitate learner-centered lessons. The style of this strategy is learner-centered lessons, which avoid lectures and focus on our individual students and groups of students like emergent bilinguals to then structure our lesson plans. Content. We will be teaching topics that are relevant to students. If there's a standard that we do not feel is related directly to our students, we will draw that connection. The result, students become more self-confident and engaged. Strategy number 2, foster a high-trust, low-stress environment. More opportunities for participation equals the 3 I feel are most important: deeper connections, increased participation, and feelings of safety and confidence. So when we provide more opportunities for our students to participate, logically their participation will increase because we are making that connection with them and allowing them to engage within the curriculum by reaching out to them, connecting their culture to our curriculum, and providing that sense of safety that they can be who they are. Their identity is valued and welcome in our classroom. This then fosters that high trust, low stress environment that we are trying to accomplish. Strategy number 3, supporting communal learners. So there are 2 main learning styles, independent and communal. It's very likely that every class you will teach will have students that succeed better or prefer and prefer a specific learning style when it comes to these two. Now, communal learners often are able to work collaboratively to reach that end goal, and it's often that emergent bilinguals fall into this category. So this can look like making lessons interactive and even game-like, and it addresses the social aspect to learning, which is so critical for our emergent bilinguals. It connects written and oral language to help them succeed. All right, so if you notice, I had this piece of paper handed out to everyone. I know it looks pretty small on the screen, but everyone has their own copy. And I wanted to do an example of a peer development activity called a circle activity, which is an example of our strategies here, strengthening the teaching profession and using this activity to teach culturally responsible activities. So you see here on the paper, you have all I statements. What we are going to do is we are going to spread out, move our desks, stand in one large circle, and I am going to read one by one each statement. And if it applies to you, if you resonate with that statement, that is your truth, you will take one step forward. We will now break out and form a circle and start this activity. All right, so I hope everyone enjoyed that activity. This is something you can do with any group of people, and it helps us recognize the similarities between people, regardless of their backgrounds, what they may look like. It allows people to bond over common experiences without necessarily having to talk about them. So this activity is based obviously for adults, but it does show you the valuable assets of using strategies that are culturally responsive. Now, what I was able to print out for you guys today is a similar activity called Take a Step Forward. Now this, I am calling a take-home activity or take-to-school activity, and you can bring this back to your school and conduct it with them. It's very similar, but it gives you the option, depending on what your environment looks like there, to be able to make a line across the gym or whatever space you have physically. Or you could also fill this out on paper as well. So in this activity, you're imagining your life as a student in the K-12 system. Now, what you're going to do is take a step forward once you're lined up if you find that a statement is true for you, which is similar to our previous activity. This is really going to help your staff connect in a similar way that we were just able to, and it provides a basis for connection so that you can then start the conversation about emergent bilinguals and what it looks like to utilize culturally responsive activities and teaching methods within your classroom to ensure, like we mentioned before, that each student, including your emergent bilinguals and especially your emergent bilinguals, have an equal opportunity to succeed. So let's wrap up. I put this statement here because I feel like it really captures our lesson for today. And it says, when students feel valued, they do better in all classrooms. And now it seems like a simple statement, but there is not a more true statement that you will find when it relates to culturally responsive strategies and our amazing emergent bilingual students. When students feel respected, they feel an openness and a safety within your classroom, and you are utilizing teaching strategies that highlight their great attributes, their skills, their assets, you are able to then pull out from each student their best possible engagement. You provoke them to learn more, and you genuinely create an environment for them to be able to succeed. I want to thank everyone for coming today, and I left my information at the front. If people are able to share with me their experiences as they take back to their own school the activity that we talked about today, I would love to hear the reactions of your staff at your school. So thank you again and have a great day.